Father's Day. How about winning your first Pro Stock final since 1995? That's what Mark Bowick did in front of a home state crowd, defeating Ron Krischer in an all-Ohio final. For Bowick, the win represented a trifecta, showing off to the family, boasting his 5th career victory, and doing so at his sponsor's race. Want to get back at the guy who beat you in the first round of Funny Car and took the lead in the Winston Funny Car Championship points? How about having your second car driven by Tony Pedregon defeat Jerry Tolliver in the final? John Force may have had a tough weekend in Columbus, but his team came out winners. Just how do you thank your dad for helping you catch your dream? How about beating 5-time Winston champion Joe Amato in the finals? That's what Tony Schumacher did for his dad, Don, who, by the way, is a former NHRA event champion himself. For these three, last Sunday was a celebration of acceleration, a resounding affirmation of what this magnificent sport is all about. ESPN2 presents the National Hot Rod Association. Coverage of the Winston Championship and the 2045 million tour. A 300-mile-an-hour trip around the United States, with this, the 12th of 24 national events. The 4th annual Sears Craftsman Nationals from Gateway International Raceway, just across the mighty Mississippi River from St. Louis, Missouri. The big news has been the weather here at Madison, Illinois and Gateway International Raceway. On and off giant thunderstorms and heavy rains have plagued this event. But right now the skies are clearing and hopefully we'll be into round number 2 racing in just a moment. Hi everybody, I'm Dave McClelland, and like the tens of thousands of folks here, I'm waiting for the racing to start. But this has been one dramatic race over its 3-year history. This man and this car, Gary Selsey, 2 times has been the winner here. But there was an inaugural winner in Top Fuel Eliminator as you take a look at all of our pro category winners over the last 3 years. That man was Joe Amato. And in his pit area is Bill Stevens.
Thanks very much, Mac. Well, here's a sight we definitely did not expect to see after the first round of Top Fuel. Joe Amato's Tenneco Top Fuel dragster is on the trailer after being upset by Rhonda Hartman-Smith in round 1. We'll get another look at it. There's Joe in the Tenneco car, Rhonda Hartman in the orange Fram car. She was the number 16 qualifier. Joe, of course, the number 1 car, but it was over early. And crew chief Jimmy Prock, you guys definitely didn't expect that.
No, we didn't. You know, we just played it a little too conservative, and we shook the tires, and, you know, we lost.
Had some tricky conditions to work with this weekend, though, didn't you?
Well, yeah, you know, they were a little bit tricky, but, I mean, we should have been more aggressive than we were. We just backed up too much.
This is one disappointed race team. Let's take a look at the Winston points right now, and you'll see that Joe Amato lost a golden opportunity to pick up some ground on Kenny Bernstein. In fact, the other 4 drivers in the top 5, they all won their first round matchups. Now let's go to Shelley Anderson with a story in Funny Car.
This weekend, Bill Stevens, the Funny Car point situations really changed. Now, Jerry Toller's back in the lead. John Force is in number 2. Ron Capps is in the 3rd spot, followed by Tony Pedregon. But not only is Jerry Tolliver leading for the Winston Championship, he qualified number 1 on his 2nd qualifying attempt this weekend. It was his first time ever. He ran a 4.88 at 303 miles an hour. You happy?
We're very, very happy. Like I said, you know, we went out first pair with that Funny Car session in the final round on Thursday night. So to do that without watching some of the cars on the track on the night session, you know, was pretty amazing. But that's Dale Armstrong. He's my crew chief, and I tell you what, he's got some depth. He knows these racetracks. But this Funny Car points battle is going to be tough. You know, we got ahead of John in the beginning of the year, and John took it back from us in Dallas, and we got it back last week in Columbus. So it's going to be a fight to the end.
You told us at the season opening Winter Nationals you were going to dethrone John Force, and now you are.
Well, you know, I mean, I've always said this team is here to win the championship. That's what our mission is. But to dethrone John Force is like knocking out Muhammad Ali in a boxing match. He's been the champ for 9 years or 10 years in a row, 9 years, the last decade, and you know, getting him off the top is going to be tough. But we've got the depth, we've got Armstrong, and I think we can do it.
It's going to be a real wrestling match in the Fuel Funny Car point situation this year. Dave?
Let's start with the points in Winston Pro Stock Automobiles. Jed Coughlin sits number 1. Warren Johnson in second. Ron Krischer, though, is carrying a lot of momentum as his second final round appearance moves him to within 8 of WJ. Mark Powick's big hometown win moves him from 7th to 5th. The guy who fell the furthest, Jim Yates. His first-round loss in Columbus drops him to 7th. The two-time champion's not having it any better here this weekend in St. Louis as he's a DNQ. One guy who is in the field of the 34 cars is Warren Johnson. Not surprised to find him there. Maybe a bit of surprise, though, to see him 7th with a 698. Struggling maybe, or right where you want to be?
Well, we struggled a little bit. We didn't hit the right setup first 3 sessions. Actually, the 4th session, we were the quickest car out there, so we're competitive. We just didn't qualify at the right time. That's all it really amounted to. But, you know, as you mentioned before, Jim, I believe, was in 17th spot, so that's without a doubt the worst possible position to be in, because you got to be one of those top 16 cars to race.
Krischer's the number 1 guy. He's really climbing up your tail. You worried about him?
Well, that's what makes pro stock racing so exciting nowadays, is the fact that you've got new people coming on. You got a lot of competitiveness between all the teams out there. You're looking at 16 cars in a qualified field, and any one of those cars can win the race.
4 low ETs, 4 top speeds, 4 number 1s. He's the leader in virtually every professional category except for one. Wins. He's going to work on that here today in St. Louis. David?
There's lots of folks, just like us, Shelley, waiting for the start of elimination. The NHRA officials say that'll be coming up in just a few moments when we return to Gateway International Raceway. Coverage of the 2000 NHRA Winston Championship is being brought to you by Subaru. Visit us at Subaru.com to see our full line of all-wheel drive vehicles. Hard to believe, but the sun is shining here at Gateway International Raceway as we get ready for round number 2 racing in Top Fuel Eliminator of this, the Sears Craftsman Nationals. Take a look at our qualifying roster. It was headed by Joe Amato, qualifying number 1 with a great 4.60 seconds. Down through the top 8, David Grubnick rounded out the quick 8 cars. They all had lane choice in round 1. Here is the bottom half of the field with Rhonda Hartman-Smith in the 16th spot. And what a shocker indeed as we look back at round number 1 racing involving that top qualifier and Rhonda Hartman. I don't think anybody expected this.
Not at all. Joe Amato qualified number 1. He's been inconsistent when it comes to first rounds, and there he was again.
Rhonda ran 4.79 to advance to this, the second round of competition. Another interesting pair put Joe Hartley up against Corey McLenithan. A shocker here as well.
Huge shock. Corey McLenithan qualified number 2. There was no race. Joe Hartley stepped up and ran a 4.80 second run.
Corey smoking the tires. Hartley finally having a little good luck. Well, not every top qualifier went out. Kenny Bernstein, the Bud King, was up against Steve Smith. And the number 3 qualifier advanced with a 4.79 victory. The big story this weekend has been Tony Schumacher's problems.
He only qualified on his last attempt, only made 1 good run, but first round stepped up, ran a 4.76 and has lane choice over Kenny Bernstein in the second round.
So Tony Schumacher beginning to show the consistency, at least, that has carried him to a Winston Championship a year ago. Here are your pairings for round number 2. Look back and see what happened to your favorite in the first round. Rhonda against Doug Herbert, Gary Scelti, and Bob Vandergrift. Joe Hartley will be racing Larry Dixon. And Kenny Bernstein and Tony Schumacher. That's a race that has implications in that Winston points chase.
Definitely, you know, Kenny Bernstein's number 4 in the points, Tony Schumacher's number 2, so that's very important.
Let's go down now and join David Reef.
Well, Big Mac, in the first round, a lot of the higher qualified cars chose the left lane, but now they're apparently there's been a bunch of lane switching going on due to a Federal Mogul funny car oiled down earlier. Larry, you came in not with lane choice, expecting to be in the right lane. How does that impact what you've tuned for?
I'm counting on the track service to do a good job, that's all.
Does it change the tune-up, though?
No, I can't. Now, at this point, I got to go with what I had.
And a lot of that's going on here. We're going to see a lot of the cars with choice pick the right lane until somebody does spectacular in the left.
And, of course, he's talking about the cleanup done by the safety safari, hoping that that'll make a difference. Look at this. It's an absolutely even match so far between the near lane and the far lane. 4 wins each in round number 1 racing.
But there were so many upsets in the first round of racing. I think that's the first time we've seen it even after the first round match.
Yes, it is. And those upsets played a big role in seeing that match of 4 and 4. That safety safari work, one thing they do when they finish a cleanup, they spray down lots of traction compound. I think that's what Larry Frazier's banking on.
You know what? He knows they're the best in the business, and he's right. You know, Doug Herbert right now doesn't have lane choice, but he and Kenny Bernstein are the only top fuel cars that got down the racetrack, all 4 qualifying runs, and they both won first round.
How about the Rhonda Hartman car, Rhonda Hartman-Smith? She just pulled off the upset of the weekend, taking out the top qualifier from the 16th spot. She ran well in the 470s. What kind of pressure is she feeling now?
Well, she's not really feeling a lot of pressure. She stepped up on her qualifying number by about 1100s, just over a tenth of a second. It's only been by first round one other time this year, so she's not feeling a lot of pressure. She's just hoping to move up in the top 10.
We're going to see how they do in just a bit as we'll be returning a final touch-up of our racing service. We'll be back with this race in Top Fuel Eliminator when we return. We're back, and our Speed World coverage is zeroed in on Top Fuel Eliminator. That is the Fram Autolite car driven by Rhonda Hartman-Smith. She ran 479 in the first round, and she did it in this lane. Does that help maybe a little bit of their confidence level, do you think?
Definitely, especially when they stepped up 1100ths of a second over their qualifying run. They know they can get down this lane. Doug Herbert, on the other hand, knows he's been consistent all qualifying runs in both lanes. And, you know, Doug ran a 469 to qualify, so he knows he can step up, he can run the pace. He got a gimme in the first round when David Grubnick red lane.
For Herbert and his crew chief Larry Frazier, the lane, all they can do is hope that the safety safari does their normal job. And, of course, when you spread a lot of oil on the racetrack, it presents a cleanup problem. Huge crowd on hand considering the weather conditions. We have dodged the bad weather thus far today, just a couple of brief showers after a huge rainstorm early this morning. There's Frazier playing traffic cop. But this afternoon, we have been able to march through, and, of course, we'll be finishing this race under the light, so the conditions will change totally by the time we get to the final.
The air will change a lot. It'll get a lot cooler. The track will get a lot cooler. There'll be no sun on it. But right now, we've got sun on the track, and I honestly think Doug Herbert's going to step up. He's going to run a number. I don't know it'll be a good enough number to beat Rhonda, but it'll run a good number.
John Smith, the husband crew chief for Rhonda Hartman-Smith. Of course, Doug Herbert, 4 times the winner on the NHRA Winston Trail a year ago. Well, they played their cards close to the vest, and look what they did. 485 shutting off at only 248 miles an hour. Rhonda ran into problems at the hit of the throttle. Let's go down to the starting line area. Here's David.
Well, apparently it looked like the starting line was pretty good, but maybe the top end something happened.
Yeah, it was fine. It looked like it threw the blower belt off there about half track, so it was on a pretty good run. We're happy. We'll be okay.
And it's 75 minutes before the semifinals with that 485.
Lots of folks talking about blower belt problems. Shelley, is it unique, or is it just manifesting itself again?
You know, that's not unique at all. They run about 3 runs, that's it. Tony Schumacher, he's concentrating right now. He knows he can make a big jump in the points right now. Number 3 in the points is out already. So, or number 5, number 6, Joe Amato, Doug Kletter out already. He wants to keep moving up in the points.
All right, this is Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser King, with Lee Beard. That's his crew chief, directing him there. Dan Olson, the most unemotional man visually that you would ever imagine, but he did reveal after they didn't qualify until the last run in qualifying. Here's Kenny Bernstein on board with him. And what a great shot you see. Olson said he didn't sleep at all the night before the last qualifying run. Kenny Bernstein, well, we all know about the Bud King, but did you know that he is truly a 2-sport star? Here's our pairing, Schumacher and the Exide car, Tony Schumacher and Kenny Bernstein.
NHRA drag racing's been very, very good to Kenny Bernstein, and now baseball's been very, very good to Kenny Bernstein. It's for the 3rd time in his career. Got to throw out the first pitch.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. It always is, and this one was really kind of special. And I got up there and I said to myself, well, you can throw it real hard and throw it in the dirt and look really stupid, or throw it real easy and get it to the catcher. And I elected to take the really easy way out.
I was going to ask you, that had to be the changeup, right?
At least, by all means. Changeup, slow curve maybe.
And thank God no Mark McGuire at the plate either.
Well, yeah, he would have hit it about 800 feet if that would have been the case. Fortunately, we got to talk to Mark quite a bit there. We've known him for the last couple of years, and all the guys with Cardinals are great. Tony Lewis is a good friend of ours, and it's just neat to do it with Budweiser here, obviously.
So Kenny enjoying a day at the ballpark. Now he's got a day in the office trying to beat this guy.
Tony Schumacher has lane choice. Oh, by 0.03 of a second, he's number 2 in points. Kenny's number 4. This means a lot for the Winston champion.
Well, it goes to the advantage of Kenny Bernstein and low elapsed time of eliminations thus far. 4.66 seconds, a blistering speed of 316 miles an hour as Tony Schumacher trails at 482.
Tony Schumacher did his job on the reaction time. He left on Kenny Bernstein, but that was about where it ended. Half track, you see Kenny kind of skating around a little bit, but still had the lead, carried it through with a great run. Tony, not bad, a 482.
4.66 second elapsed time for Kenny Bernstein as you see the body panel sort of shaking there as the Bud King crosses the finish line at over 316 miles an hour.
Great race. That's drag racing, and Tony's got to be a little disappointed after he won the last national event to go out the second round here.
Oh, what a great shot on board with Kenny Bernstein. Down to the starting line, David.
The burnouts continue here for the second round, but I think it was Louis the Lizard said, this is Budweiser, this was big. Hey, this is Budweiser right here in St. Louis. I'll tell you what, Tony Schumacher, this team out here, and we had to put forth our best effort to get around those guys. This is another one of those concerned crew chiefs about this lane choice swapping going on down here.
Well, they picked themselves up 20 points on Tony Schumacher in the Winston chase. We're coming back with the cars you just listened to in a moment. The surprising Joe Hartley up against Larry Dixon, who had one of the quickest times of round number 1 eliminations. Shelley?
Larry Dixon had low ET of the first round, but he had his worst qualifying spot of the year so far. He only qualified number 10. This car's been in the top half at every race we've been out this season.
The Hartley family has this is only the 4th race this year that they have qualified for. And for Joe, it was quite a first-round victory as he took out Corey McLenithan, the number 2 qualifier. Here you see up in the left-hand side of your screen the race recap from round number 1. Check it out. You'll see the times, who won when. Now Dixon and Hartley get set to go, and this is the second round of elimination.
Dixon's number 3 in the points right now, and you know something? He's driving great. First round, he had a really great reaction time. He's on his game this weekend.
The timer will tell you who leaves first. It was Joe Hartley, but he could not maintain the momentum, and a 467 win by Larry Dixon at 312 miles an hour. Hartley trailed with a 5.24 second elapsed time. David?
Well, I'm down with Dick LaHaye. It looked like you got a pretty good race day set up, 473, and now this.
Well, yeah, we're just trying to run a little bit better so we see what's going to happen going into the final round or into the semis. You know, the track's going to get better and so forth, so we're just going to kind of work at it and see what we can do.
You were in the left lane. You had lane choice. You did like it. Why?
Yeah, well, I run the right lane before, and I seen a little bit out there I didn't like, and this here seemed to work pretty good.
They're moving on to the semis.
Well, he is an extremely intelligent crew chief and is regarded as having some of the best hot weather tune-ups in the sport. Let's go to Bill.
The king of speed beats the kid of speed. Low ET eliminations, Kenny, too, and you closed the gap between you and Tony, who was second in points.
Well, we had to do that. You know, you don't get those chances very often, and you want to try to take advantage when you can. Hats off to the Bud King team. Lee Beard, Mike Green doing a great job, making it run a little bit better. But I think as the night goes, we're going to run better than that. Believe me, there's a couple of cars going to run in the high 50s, low 60s. That's his prediction.
Well, when the sun goes down, as we said earlier, things change.
Well, right here you got the number 4 qualifier in the far lane, Gary Selzy, up against the number 5 qualifier, Bob Vandegrift. And Gary Selzy has lane choice coming into the second round by 100, and he chose the far lane.
Bob Vandegrift, he's enjoying some newfound success.
After going to the finals in Phoenix, Bob Vandergrift promptly followed that up with 5 first-round losses. However, here as of late, this team has been on a mission, going to the second round in the last 2 races, qualifying second in Columbus. So, Father, myself, I think it all has to do with this right here. This is his daughter, Ashley, but, Bob, it's probably not the case. There's probably more to it, right?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't hurt. You know, you have something this cute, you know, you can't have a bad day. But, you know, we're a little underfunded this year without running with a major sponsor, and we don't have time to test. So the more laps we've been able to do with the 90% rule, the better the car's running. And it's running really good right now.
It's the blue eyes. I swear, it's the blue eyes.
Bob referring, of course, to the new rule here in the 2000 season, a maximum of 90% nitromethane. Rady Yakup Racing's coming on board to help out the Vandergrift team. Gary Selby had lane choice here, Shelley, and we see him over on the far side of the track.
And we saw Ken Bernstein with lane choice, and he took the near lane. So, really, they must be pretty even.
And so did Dick LaHaye and Larry Dixon. So now we're going to find out, can we maintain our equality between the lanes? Almost caught him, did Vandergrift, but a 4.64 second elapsed time, new low ET of eliminations at a speed of 309 miles an hour. Vandergrift ran up on him just nearing the finish line, but then fell back to only 278 miles an hour.
Both cars left almost identically. Both drivers did a good job, but not enough horsepower for Vandergrift when he was up against Gary Selzy.
Gary Selzy and the Team Winston bunch are going for a three-peat. They have won the last 2 races in a row here at Madison, Illinois, in the Sears Craftsman Nationals. He wants to add it and make it the 3rd in a row this year and extend his lead in the Winston points chase.
That was also low ET the second round.
Here we go at Doug Herbert's pit area. You saw him just a few moments ago out on the racetrack going 300 miles an hour. Well, the crew has picked up the pace. They're traveling at about 500 to get that car ready for the semifinals. He will have to race Gary Selzy with low ET getting lane choice. Kenny Bernstein gets to pick his lane over Larry Dixon. We'll find out how that all works out in just a bit here at Madison. Welcome back to the 4th annual running of the Sears Craftsman Nationals. That's a very confident young man, Mr. Bob Gilbertson. He'll be going off against the Matco Tools car by Dean Scusa. Here's how they qualified. Jerry Tolliver at the top of the pack, the only car in the 4.88 second elapsed time zone. Tony Pedregon was second. Scott Weiss ended up in the 16th spot. Let's take a look how they made it here to round number 2, and Jerry Tolliver got to be the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah, right here, he was up against Scott Weiss, had the worst reaction time I've seen. He got beat last race in the final round on his reaction time and did it again here.
Dale Armstrong, his crew chief, not particularly happy, but Jerry Tolliver's in round 2. Weiss had problems. Here is Tony Pedregon. He qualified second. He was up against the Matco car of Scusa. And another upset. That was Lance Larson saying, yeah, right on. As our next pair came up in the first round, it was Bob Gilbertson against Frank Pedregon.
Bob Gilbertson won this. He's the car in the far lane on his reaction time. Car ran slower, he was quicker and got the win.
And Paul Smith, his crew chief, celebrates as well as the Trick Tank car advanced to this round number 2. And here is our final look back at round number 1. Ron Capps and Al Hoffman. What a race.
Al Hoffman did it on the tree also. Another hole shot win. There were 3 in the first round in funny car alone.
Well, it's a little tough for Jim Dunn to smile, but he tried right there, and he at least gave him a round of applause. Here's the pairings for this second round. It is Jerry Tolliver against Del Worsham, John Force and Bruce Sarver, and that could be quite a matchup, and another upset in the making. Out on the track, you see Scusa and Gilbertson, and Jim Effler will have to challenge Al Hoffman.
Right now, Dean Scusa's got to be the favorite. He again chose the far lane, which is kind of surprising, but he ran a 4.97 in the first round. He took out Tony Pedregon, and now he's up against Bob Gilbertson, who ran a 5.11.
Here in our funny car category are the results of round number 1 in relation to lane choice. The near lane has 5 wins, the far lane 3, and as Shelley just noted, Dean Scusa has the opportunity by virtue of his quicker elapsed time win in the first round to pick his lane. He's over there on the far side of the racetrack. Of course, we just saw low ET and top fuel come out of that lane. The reaction timer will tell you who leaves first and by how much. Bruce Lance Larson again happy with a 4.96 second elapsed time. That's the amount of time it takes to cover a quarter of a mile. He had 299 miles an hour when he crossed the finish. They're fueling the Bud King car. As down at the starting line, David Reeves.
Well, Lance, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right lane, another 490.
Well, you know, the last time we had lane choice and had a pick, we went to the other one and smoked the tires, and we didn't want to shoot our foot ourselves any more in the foot than we've been doing lately. Very pleased, very consistent.
If they can keep shooting 490s, look out.
Could be very well served with 490 elapsed times as the changing weather conditions prevail. Look at him field strip this car. You saw him just a moment ago lift the supercharger and fuel injector completely off the engine. What are they doing now, Shelley?
They're servicing it. They're going to get the heads off, put a new set of heads on, and another rack of pistons.
All right, well, they're prepping the Bud King car. We've got more funny car nitro action when we return. Welcome back to the 4th Annual Sears Craftsman Nationals. We're at Gateway International Raceway in Madison, Illinois, just across the river from St. Louis, Missouri. And we saw a lane swap take place here.
Yeah, right now Bruce Sarver chose the near lane, which is kind of strange because earlier we just saw Scusa take the far lane. He won. Sarver has lane choice, something he doesn't have over John Force very often. He's got lane choice by 900ths of a second, almost a tenth.
The team DDR car of Alan Johnson with Bruce Sarver, the driver, has had a remarkably good outing thus far. The car's run very well. He qualified with a fine 495. John Force, of course, in the 4th spot, a little bit quicker in qualifying. Bruce Sarver's got a lot of folks this weekend most interested in his performances. They're certainly looking on.
Bruce Sarver's not only wheeling the emula.com here this weekend, but he's also got the backing of about 20 major global companies that have formed Team DDR. And you talk about some big names. Look at some of them on the backside of this car. NEC, Toshiba, Mitsubishi, Texas Instruments, on the front Micron, heading up the whole thing as DDR stands for Double Data Rate. The objective of these 20 companies is to build a semiconductor allowing you as much memory as you could ever need at twice the rate. It'll allow you to get to places like emula.com and NHRA.com a lot quicker. Check them out.
Well, if they're going fast, we'll find out how quick they are at the end of the racetrack. Here's Bill.
With Dean Scusa, we knew once you found the right combination, that car would be killer. Did you find it?
I'm glad you knew that. We were biting our nails trying to get in this show. No, but it is coming around just perfectly like we anticipated. When it works in real life like it works on paper, you got to just look at it and awe, you know?
They're going to their second semifinal of the year.
Well, the Castro car on the far side of the racetrack, the defending champion in funny car, but it hadn't been the picture-perfect outing you normally see out of John Force.
This is 2 races in a row. We've seen a lot of inconsistency, but that man right there, Austin Quayle, the crew chief, has led John Force to 9 Winston championships.
Hard to argue with success. Again, our reaction timer shows you who's quick at the tree. John Force. I guarantee you they'll be double thinking that lane swap for a long time to come as John Force goes 493 on the far side of the racetrack at 315. Sarver went up in smoke.
Not only did John Force go a great 4.93 second run, but he left on Sarver by almost a tenth.
Yep. Down at the starting line, here's David.
Just when it looks like John Force and you guys are down, you pull a 493 out of that, huh?
Well, conditions are getting pretty good, and we were able to take advantage. You know, the other guys were sure running good, so, you know, they'd kept us real honest. You know, we couldn't take a chance on being soft and coming up here and not being able to race them. So just real pleased to get the win.
And to follow up on Alan Johnson, why the lane switch, talked to the team owner of the Bruce Sarver car. He said his dragster spun the wheels at the top end, didn't want to take the chance, pull the left lane. That was bad.
Well, he lost it shortly off the starting line.
You saw this. Force was way out on Bruce Sarver, but right here, Sarver starts fishtailing a little bit, the car in the near lane, and then goes up in smoke. Nothing he could do, had to shut it off, but John was on a great ride.
Great shot there, as you can see. He lost the traction, and once he did, that was about the end of it. The car tried to swap ends on him, and the crew begins to celebrate, knowing, oh, we got 75 minutes to get it ready to do again. Look at John Force. He's watching intently the next pair, Jim Epler and Al Hoffman. There's the Moon Eyes machine. Big Jim Dunn, the owner, the tuner, and teaming up with Al Hoffman this year. Quite an interesting pair to draw to, without question. Bill Stevens, what are they saying at the far end?
Mac, they're saying quick, 493, fast, 315, and straight.
Well, we saw it outrun. Yeah, she kept him old Autolite's lid out there. Very critical, that round right there, to stay in this points chase. We got a job to do for Action and Go Racing and all the sponsors, Castle and Ford, and we've been letting them down a little bit lately. Tony's been carrying the ball, so I'm glad this old man and Coyle here, we can just do our job. Thanks.
And as you saw earlier, Tony went out in the first round, so he cannot serve as a blocker any longer.
Well, right here, this is the onboard camera for Jim Epler. This is what he sees. He's got lane choice right now, but you know something? He's not known for his reaction time. He's racing Al Hoffman, who just won on his reaction time.
Great shot there of Susan Epler as we take a look back at round number 1 and see what happened. Al Hoffman will try for another one of those hole shots. He's going to need some better numbers, I think, if he's going to prevail over Epler.
He picked up 600ths of a second over his qualifying mark.
Wish you'd look. Well, now even Jim Dunn's getting into the moment, huh? 494. He picked up just what he needed at 298 miles an hour. Outdrove Epler by 200ths of a second at the starting line and 300ths difference at the finish line. Great run by Al Hoffman. David?
After the first round, Mac, we saw a tickle of a smile out of Big Jim Dunn. Now we're seeing a bigger smile, but we're going to get back to work here and win this race, aren't we?
Yeah, I hope we can handle 3 rounds. You know, we're all out of condition for being out here all this time, but we'll be back. We got a motor ready because we figured we'd have to hurt it to beat them, and we probably did.
I'm sure it's tucked back in their memory somewhere, how to get to the finals.
Right here, you just see him leave the starting line. Al Hoffman ahead of Jim Epler, but boy, Jim Epler just went, kind of had problems, kind of moved around, got over on the center line, maybe started spinning the tires, and that was enough for Al Hoffman to get the win, and that's Al Hoffman's first time going into the semis this year.
At the halfway mark, Hoffman ahead by 400ths of a second, and you could see the black marks on the pavement that the big red machine of Jim Epler was leaving as he was spinning the tires, but a car length separated the two. Here from another angle. Jim Dunn is credited as having one of the best hot weather tune-ups for a funny car in the sport today. And I guess he's beginning to strut his stuff here as we head towards the summertime.
Definitely, he's won these races when it's hot and humid, and that's what it is right now.
Down at the far end, hey, Bill.
Hey, Mac, with Jim Epler. I guess a little stutter step out of the big red machine. That's all Al needed.
Well, I tell you what, we were going for lane choice. It was nice, smooth. You know, I can't take anything away from those guys. They're tough and certainly do. But Big Red Machine's tough, and we're going rounds every weekend, and hopefully Jerry can make some headway here and win this race for us.
They usually do it that way. If one goes out, the other one's around at the end.
And you're looking out the front windshield of the WWF Kane car, and this is, of course, Jerry Tolliver, the leader of the pack, the leader of the Winston points chase, and this is the guy that John Force is trying to make up some ground on.
Well, we saw first round Del Worsham beat Scotty Cannon on a hole shot. We also saw Jerry Tolliver have an unbelievable .736 reaction time. We don't call that sleeping. That was comatose.
Comatose, indeed. And he acknowledged it as well. He admitted it. He just lost his concentration. That's the shot of Dale Armstrong. The crew chief for Tolliver. Tolliver was vulnerable again because a great reaction time by Del Worsham. He rose to the occasion indeed, but could not run the number. Tolliver, look at this, 541 at only 220. Sometimes the brakes go your way. Let's go down to David.
Down with Dale Armstrong. Certainly a lot of questions. You got any answers yet?
I have no idea what happened. We've been lucky today so far.
They go back and tune it up. Try it again in the semis.
He can tune it up. That's Dale Armstrong. He's one of the best out there, and that's why this guy's leading the Winston Points Championship.
I've used the phrase that this is as much a battle of crew chiefs as it is drivers.
Maybe more so, really. You saw Tolliver. Maybe he tried to pedal it, got back on it. Dale was ahead of him, and then bang, blew up. You saw the burst panel come out of the body. Nothing Dale could do. Tolliver got the win.
And you see all the raw fuel coming out of it. That engine was DOA, if you will, as Tolliver crossed the finish line. Subpar time. He won't be picking lanes, that's for sure. Down at the far end, here's Bill Stevens.
With Al Hoffman, who just took out Jim Epler. Man, you're rocking today.
Yeah, Jim Dunn, the whole crew, they're doing an excellent job. Jim Dunn and Diane and
John Dunn on the clutch, and all the team, every one of the guys have done an excellent job this weekend. I'm trying to do my job, and I forgot what it's like to go to the semifinals, but I knew it was coming, and I hope this is the beginning of it here at the Gateway Nationals. And for all my sponsors with Moon Eyes and Redline Oil and Pontiac, thanks for sticking with us.
And this guy will have lane choice against Dean Scusa in the semis.
If only he could hear me, I would tell him, hey, Al, you got a whole lot of work to be done really quick. And here they are in the semifinal round. As the Moon Eyes machine advances, as did 3 other cars. Ooh, in the semis, John Force and Jerry Tolliver. Well, we may have a closure to this race as far as the points go. Dean Scusa and Al Hoffman, and it is Hoffman getting the lane choice there. Scusa's crew, they're hard at work getting that Matco machine ready. The wrenches are flying over there in the Matco pit. We're going to be flying when we return to St. Louis. We are back in our Speed World coverage of the Sears Craftsman Nationals here in the WWF pit. They're getting Jerry Tolliver's car ready to go as we're set for round number 2 of Pro Stock. Take a look how they qualified. The super hot Ron Krischer at the top of the list, followed by Kurt Johnson down at the bottom. Just 0.06 of a second separating these 16 cars was Terry Adams. Take a look back. A week ago, you saw Mark Powick in the winner's circle. A couple of races ago, you saw B. Gaines there. Here was round number 1, racing between the 2 of them, and it was Mark Powick advancing to a 7:02 pace.
He qualified number 1, so that wasn't unexpected. But here, WJ qualified number 7, which is bad for him. He stepped up 200 over his qualifying spot, ran a 6.96 for the win right there.
And his opponent was Brad Jeter driving Steve Smith's car. This was the upset of round 1. We've seen lots of them today. Jake Coughlin in the near lane. Tom Martino with a psychic 4:11.411 reaction time. Jake Coughlin applauding the opponent. Here is round number 2 racing, and here are your pairings. Krischer against Kenny Koretsky. Here's the other side of the ladder. The Johnson family will square off, and Tom Martino gets to run Greg Anderson.
Greg Anderson has lane choice right now. By 1/100 of a second, he's in the near lane.
A year ago, Greg Anderson went out in round 1. Watch the reaction timer. Again, Martino. This time it was Anderson getting the advantage and the win. 0.400 seconds. An absolutely perfect reaction time by Greg Anderson in the Summit Racing Pontiac, the teammate of Mark Powick. 7:01 is winning time. The losing time for Martino, and I'll bet he's stunned, was a 6:98. So Greg Anderson into the semis. Here's his teammate and the team leader.
Mark Powick, he won the last race right here this weekend. He qualified number 5. He ran he actually slowed down 0.05 after first round, but you know what? The air's changing. It's got a lot cooler.
And it's going to be a lot better for these Pro Stock cars. Here's your lane comparison. After 9 runs, you see 7 wins going to the near lane. Ricky Smith, the opponent for Mark Powick, he got here in a walkover as Troy Coughlin did not answer the call and allow us to be the first to extend our congratulations to Troy and his wife Julie, as they are the proud parents of a baby girl. Congratulations. Father's Day 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that'd be nice, huh? Right here, though, Mark Powick's got to be living off of last weekend. He doesn't have lane choice. He's 200s behind Ricky Smith. Ricky Smith had a single, but I think Ricky Smith knows Mark Powick won the last race, but Ricky Smith's known for his reaction time.
Smith at the wheel of the Chevy Camaro out of the Kenny Koretsky team. Up on the hood scoop, you see the name Frank Iaconio, one of the truly legendary names in Pro Stock racing, doing the engine work for the Koretsky team, and that means Ricky. be two in a row for Mark Powick. You saw him drift out of the groove. The car started to skate, and you have a very minimal amount of time to decide to lift or stay with it. He lifted.
He did a great job. He left on Ricky Smith. Right here you see an engine change going on for Jerry Tolliver's group. That doesn't matter. They're ready for that, and sometimes they do that just as a precaution.
And that has become almost the standard. Here is in Larry Dixon's pit area, and they're working away there on the Miller Lite car. He's got Dick LaHaye doing the tuning, and, of course, the crew buttoning things up as we'll be getting ready for round number 2, or 3, rather, semifinals of Top Fuel before you know it. Here is the Johnson clan. Kurt Johnson in the far lane. In the near lane, Warren Johnson, he had the second quickest elapsed time in round number 1, and that was only by 1,000th of a second.
More importantly, he's the only pro stock car to step up and run quicker than their qualifying sessions.
Kurt Johnson a year ago went out in the first round here, as did Warren Johnson. So already they've gone farther than they did last year at the Sears Craftsman Nationals. Here you see the race recap from round number 1, charting how they got here to second round competition. AC Delco, that is the Camaro, the Pontiac out of GM Goodwrench Service. Warren Johnson trying to add points. Jake Coughlin's already gone. He got beat in that big upset in the first round. Johnson with the advantage at the starting line and a 6.981 second elapsed time. His speed topping 197 miles an hour as he crossed the finish line a mere 1,320 feet away from that starting line.
That was a really good ET when you think about it. Warren Johnson really moved around in that lane, still got the win.
Of course, it is difficult to get him stuck. We are in the transition period from the heat of the day and a lot of sun on the racetrack to much cooler temperatures tonight, and the racetrack is kind of caught in the middle of that as well. So you got to tune your best you can. Sometimes you overpower it. Here is Kenny Koretsky, the team leader, along with Ricky Smith. He's got the unenviable task of taking on Ron Krischer.
Kenny Koretsky qualified number 8. Ron Krischer, though, qualified number 1. And the last 2 national events we've been to, this guy here has been in the final round at both of them, and he has a win.
Lost a week ago to Mark Powick down at Chicago, just a couple of 3 weeks ago. He defeated Troy Coughlin in the final round to win his first ever national event title. Krischer, a longtime racer in the sportsman categories, making the move to pro stock, picking up the support of the folks at Eagle One. The Bucks County Kawasaki riding on board with Kenny Koretsky. Kenny has a rather unique credit to his list. At one point, he raced both pro stock and Top Fuel at the same event. Low elapsed time of elimination. 6.932 seconds elapsed time at a speed of 197 miles an hour. Koretsky gave it a valiant effort. He had a giant advantage off the starting line as Warren Johnson looked back down track to see what happened. 196 for Koretsky. The WWF team not nearing completion, but they're advancing rather rapidly, getting that car put back together for its semifinal round race.
Right there you see them. They're tightening the mains on the side of the block. They got the oil pan back on, and they're putting the clutch back in it. That's a lot of work to do in 75 minutes.
Yes, it is. Just imagine how long it takes your favorite mechanic to take it apart and put it back together. Here's the pairings for the semifinals of Pro Stock. Krischer will hold lane choice over Ricky Smith, while the other side of the ladder finds Greg Anderson, the former crew chief. For the man he'll be squaring off against, Warren Johnson. WJ holding the chase of lanes. Once again, in the pit area of the WWF team, you see the frantic work going on. The sun's beginning to set, the temperature's dropping, the track getting better. That just makes for better racing when we come back. Welcome back to the 4th annual Sears Craftsman Nationals. One great way to keep up with all the excitement of NHRA is NHRA Heat. Here's Bob Fry. He's not on the ground.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Fry with the NHRA Heat TV show. And if you wonder why I'm dressed like this, it's because today I'm going to go one-on-one with one of the NBA greats and one of drag racing's greats, Tommy Hammonds, who plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves and drives the Winnebago Chevrolet Camaro in Pro Stock. And I got to tell you, I've watched him warming up, and believe me, he's got no game, so I think I can take him. If you'd like to find out how this one-on-one encounter wound up, join us on Thursday night, July 6th at 6:30 on ESPN2 for NHRA Heat. I'm telling you, he's got no game. Absolutely no game.
I didn't see Bob jumping up and down and throwing the ball down. Don't forget, that's July 6th for NHRA Heat, hosted by our very own Bill Stevens. This has been quite a race, Shelley. I must admit, I can't remember quite as many upsets as we have seen thus far this event.
Whole shot wins, cooler track, cooler weather. It's going to be great.
The bad weather went away. We thought we were going to get hit with another one of those giant thunderstorms, but as you can see, the lights are on here at Gateway International, and that means conditions will continue to improve.
Definitely improve. You'll probably see low ET and top speeds coming up in the next round, and it'll be great racing.
Well, there is a huge amount of action going on in the pits. Let's join Bill Stevens.
Mac, I'm down here in Jerry Tolliver's pit as they get ready for this big matchup with John Force in the semifinals. Now, let's talk about some numbers. 541. That's what Tolliver ran in that last round win against Del Worsham. Way off the pace. Why? Because of this little 50-cent gasket that goes inside the intake manifold. That seals the supercharger to the top of the engine. That gasket blew out, the engine lost its boost, and then something in the motor blew out. They'll have a new engine in that car. Another number, 1. John Force has beaten Jerry Tolliver all but one round they faced each other this year. That was in the first round in Columbus last week. And one more number. Jerry Tolliver came in with an 11-point lead over John Force as we came to Madison. If John Force wins this race, he'll take back the points lead. Let's go to Dave Reed.
Well, Bill, I got to tell you, it's nice to have a two-car team, so when one car loses, the other guys can come over to help. This is the Castrol Syntec bunch helping out on John Force's crew as they service the car, getting ready for their semifinal round. The off-and-on rain showers we've been talking about, well, if you go to the Castrol Technology Center, you can see here the cursor represents the St. Louis area. The storms have all moved off to the north and the east, and it looks like the rest of the day is in the clear, and that certainly is good news. Even better news is the 493 that this team ran in the second round win over Bruce Sarver. I talked to Austin Coyle about why they were struggling early in the event. He basically told me they were having troubles tuning the car to the weather and tuning the clutch to the racetrack. They have obviously found their combination. I asked him, though, I said, well, the sky is getting dark, it's getting cooler. Are you going to have problems with the remainders of the day? He just smiled at me with a sheepish grin and said, actually, it's changing into our favor. So that certainly could mean bad news for Jerry Tolliver. Bill?
Gary Scelzi and Team Winston, Dave, getting ready for their semifinal matchup with Doug Herbert. And boy, they have been making some thunder this weekend. Gary Scelzi, low ET of eliminations of 464, and from what I can see, everything pretty routine between rounds.
Yeah, nothing too exciting right now. We went to 64 without the sun on the racetrack, and we've been okay when the sun's not on the racetrack. So Doug's going to be tough, and we're partners in the T-shirt business here at the racetrack, so it's a pretty friendly rivalry.
You can't let up off your fastball, though, because Doug Herbert can hurt you. However, Tony Schumacher's out of the show.
Yeah, he's out, but I'm going to tell you something. Don't think when the helmet goes on that I won't be all after Doug, believe me.
He's got his game face on, Dave Reed.
Well, Dick LaHaye is once again tuning Larry Dixon a pretty bad hot rod there, 473. In the first round wasn't real great, but the 467 they ran in the second round was pretty darn good, and that sets up another bear wagon showdown with Kenny Bernstein. They've met 20 times with Bernstein holding the edge 11-9. This will be the 5th time, though, this year, as Dixon owns the edge 3-1. Kind of like those odds.
Yeah. But we're in St. Louis, and he's got a lot on the line, and so do we. It's always a tough battle anytime you go against Bernstein, regardless of the beer wars going on. So we'll just go up there and throw everything we can at him and see what happens.
Dick says he's made some changes to this car for the semifinal run. What do you anticipate from the seat to be a little bit different coming up?
Nothing. Hopefully we just get that win light.
What Dick LaHaye says it'll be is a 462. An interesting little tidbit for you there, Dave McClellan. Since Las Vegas, when the tour left that spot, Larry Dixon scored 542 Winston points to Gary Scelzi's 528. They better be watching out for this kid.
Well, they sure should. And, as the night falls here, we're anticipating better times. The all-time track record is held by Scelzi at a 4.57 second elapsed time. Do you think we can exceed that?
I don't know if we can exceed that, but the one car I'm going to be watching is Jerry Tolliver because he's got Dale Armstrong as his crew chief.
Well, we're going to find a very interesting matchup not only in Top Fuel, but Funny Car as well. Take a look at the upcoming events here on this 2000 schedule. In the month of July, we're going to be busy. How about this? Winston Showdown in Bristol on the 7th to the 9th, followed by the event up at Denver. Then a couple of weeks later, we go to Seattle and Sonoma, California. Here is down through the 1st of August. Brainerd, Indianapolis, Reading, Pennsylvania, and Topeka, Kansas. And Final Four, Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Houston, and winding it all up out at Pomona, California with the finals. We've got the semifinal round of Top Fuel when we return here to St. Louis. Night is quickly falling here at Gateway International Raceway, and look at that. What a beautiful shot of the skyline of St. Louis and the Gateway Arch. We're here for the 4th annual Sears Craftsman Nationals, and conditions, they're changing again as Kenny Bernstein and Larry Dixon get ready to battle it out here in the semifinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator. Well, we've talked a lot about reaction time. Look what's happened. Here are some examples of what's gone on. Sometimes the reaction time, in the case of Joe Hartley, he was quicker than was Larry Dixon, but could not run the numbers, Shelley.
Yes, sometimes when a driver has a good reaction time, it can win the race for the car. But so far in Top Fuel this weekend, that hasn't been the story, but Fuel Funny Car, there's been a lot of upsets on hole shots.
There you can see by that graphic of the list of drivers you're looking at, the bulk of them did win and got the advantage off the starting line. Here we are. It is dark. The tree looks different to the eye. You're on board with Kenny Bernstein. What I'm referring to is that flash of yellow that the driver reacts to actually changes as far as the mind and the eye perceive it when it gets dark.
You usually have a much better reaction time when it's dark. Right now in the semis and the final, I think you'll see your best reaction times just because they can see the yellow that much clearer.
Look at this, the lane comparison beginning to narrow down. 7 wins in the near lane, 5 in the far lane, but we've seen quick times over there.
Kenny Bernstein has lane choice. He took the near lane by only 1/100 of a second over Larry Dixon. Larry Dixon's number 3 in the points. Kenny's number 4. Bernstein's 116 points behind Larry Dixon.
What do you figure the snake is thinking about there? He is very impassive. Doesn't reveal a whole lot of his emotions up in the left-hand side of the screen. You see what happened back in round 2.
Don Perdome's probably the most intense individual out in drag racing when he was driving and now as a team owner.
Well, there's your camera shot as the crew gathers round on Kenny Bernstein's Bud King car. As we've noted before, it is truly the battle of the breweries.
There's Cheryl, Kenny's girlfriend, but remember, in the pit area, Dick LaHaye said his car was going to run a 4.62. We'll see how he does.
And, of course, Dixon really wants this run, and he wants the win lights because it is so important in the Winston chase. And the same for Bernstein. He's trying to close on the leaders as well. Thousandths of a second, the margin of victory, and it was Kenny Bernstein. Oh, that is just great side-by-side racing. 313 miles an hour to the winner. Dixon not that far behind at 310. David?
Bet you had no idea that one was going to be that close. 6 thousandths at the stripe.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a great team over there, the Miller team, Don Perdome, Larry Dixon, Dick LaHaye. But, you know, we're here in St. Louis. It's Budweiser's headquarters. A lot of pressure on us, and it's really fun to beat that Miller car in front of our home crowd here.
And Budweiser's going to their 3rd final of the year looking for their 2nd win.
Oh, wow, that's good racing.
That is great racing. Both drivers had almost identical reaction times and very good reaction times. At halfway, they were right next to each other. Look at this. A 3-1-4 with a 5, only 5 thousandths of a second separating them. But, boy, Kenny Bernstein got the win. He's got to be happy.
Had about 3 miles an hour on Dixon, and as you can see, the Miller light car showing some strange flashes. Going through the traps, that may have cost him a couple of miles an hour.
That was so close. Larry Dixon's car had the front end up a little higher than Bernstein's. You could not tell sitting down here at the finish line who won.
Wow, when they went underneath our finish line camera, you could not tell. Look at this shot. They both stayed pretty much in the center of the group, but there you saw the little flash coming out of the Dixon car. As Kenny Bernstein disrobes, we go back to the starting line, and Gary Scelzi and Doug Herbert It was just a week ago in Columbus that Herbert went out in the first round with an exploding engine and expressed right here on Speed World his absolute disappointment. He said, this is a terrible way to race, and I may have to reevaluate it. I have a feeling if you went and talked to him now, he'd be a whole lot happier. Down the far end, I bet the Bud King's happy, Bill.
He's a happy guy. That kid's had your number this year, pretty much, but that felt good.
It felt good, and you're right. Dixon and that team over there with the blue car is awesome. Dick LaHaye's done a great job, but I can't take any away from the Bud King team tonight. Mike Green, Lee Beard, the whole team doing a great job, and our fans here right here in St. Louis. I mean, you talk about pressure. I don't think in the 21 years we ever had that. August, that one's for you. You were here Thursday. I just gave you another one, buddy.
Kenny Bernstein, your winner in Las Vegas, going to another final round.
Here's a treat for you. Look at it from the wing strut. The flames on the right-hand side blocking the view of the Larry Dixon-driven Miller Lite car as Kenny walks over. And what an accomplishment indeed. Kenny Bernstein going to the finals.
Selzy has to be the favorite right now. He ran a 4.64 in the last round. Doug Herbert ran a 4.85. But Doug Herbert's gotten down the track every run in qualifying. He had a gimme in the first round, so he's running better now.
Every round win. It's a big ka-ching in the points cash register for Gary Selzy. A big flash of flame out of Doug Herbert, and again, engine problems slow him as Gary Selzy goes 4.641 at 316 miles an hour. There was the one, as Shelley says, the wick was just a little bit short as Doug Herbert rolls it off the racetrack at the far end. The Safety Safari trying to catch up with him, but he's just as unhappy as he can be. A lot of flame coming out of that. Of course, they have a diaper device. They have a containment device underneath the engine, so it actually holds the oil. That's why you see a lot of that flame coming up from underneath the motor. But Doug's out okay.
Doug's out okay. The carbon fiber bucket did its job, but watch this. Both drivers had good reaction times, not as good as Larry Dixon and Kenny Bernstein. But here you see the car in the far lane already shooting sparks out, already having problems. He lifted, and then it went up in flames.
And to the finish line, and another 20 points, 464 for Selzy in the near lane. Watch that far lane car. Our low-angle shot showing you a big boomer indeed. Another fireball for Doug Herbert in the Snap-on car.
And no car has been penalized more than Doug Herbert under the new rules of oiling down. Doug Herbert's been penalized $4,500 and 40 points.
All right, let's go to Bill.
Doug, not a good time for that motor to blow itself up.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's the way it goes sometimes. We got plenty of Snap-on tools to put it back together, but maybe we won't even be able to put this one back together. This is a total loss here. Yeah, well, but we did pretty good today, so we just have to be happy with what we got.
Did you hop it up a little bit for that round?
Yeah, we hopped it up a little bit, but something went south.
Tough break for the big guy.
It is indeed, and something going south is an indication that a mechanical parts failure probably inside the engine led to that problem, because it actually happened as he let off the throttle. You could see the car slow down when he let off the throttle, and then came the flash of flame. The Safety Safari hosing it down, making sure all the flames are out, but our final round is set for Top Fuel Eliminator. Oh, what a race. Gary Selzy is getting his lane choice by 0.02 of a second over Kenny Bernstein. That race will be coming up here in just a bit. The bright lights are shining in the Kenny Bernstein pit area, and the action on the Bud King car, frantic indeed, but it is controlled mayhem. Everybody has an assigned chore, and they perform it to perfection. Bernstein tries to collect his wits. He goes into the final round of Top Fuel against Gary Selzy and trying to stop the points earning by the Winston leader. Our pair of funny cars already lined up, ready for the word to start them up. That is Al Hoffman on the far side in Jim Dunn's Moon Eyes machine. His opponent is Dean Scusa. And take a look here. Reaction time wars. Del Worsham got the best at .469 second elapsed time, but yet he lost to Jerry Tolliver.
Al Hoffman won his first round with a whole shot over Ron Capps, and also Bob Gilbertson got a whole shot win when he ran, and he won first round.
Look at this. Al Hoffman with a pair of .48 second elapsed times as far as the reaction time go. He is driving exceptionally well tonight, and of course this is important because Lane Joyce, well, doesn't seem to have a whole lot of effect on our funny car racing, but then again, we've seen lots of upsets where the slower qualified car or the slower winner has won over the favorite. Jim Dunn, the owner tuner for Al Hoffman, well, he's one of the very best.
Okay. When it comes to warm weather tune-ups, quite possibly nobody's better than Big Jim Dunn. He's taken Kenjo Kizaki to wins on hot and slippery racetracks. Same story with Frank Pedregon right here in St. Louis 2 years ago. Jim, what is the key and why are you so successful on warm tracks?
I have a way of not smoking the tires in the other end. The track gets slick and everybody overpowers it, so I keep my power down and try not to overpower it.
And how about Al Hoffman? Does a veteran driver bring something to the equation here this weekend too?
Definitely. I mean, if it smokes the tires, I got faith in him. He'll grab the brake and bring it down and calm it down. We should be a good force here.
But with Big Jim Dunn's tune-up and veteran Al Hoffman's driving skills, this hot duo may just have the ticket here on a warm weekend in St. Louis.
And the engine coming to the light, under the lights as Jim Dunn walks away. The body comes down on Al Hoffman. What's he talking about? Grabbing the brake during the run.
If it starts to lose traction or spin the tires, the driver will grab the brake and be able to keep his foot on the throttle without pedaling it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That talent and skill primarily comes with experience.
Definitely comes with experience. You know, it takes a lot of nerve to take one hand off a 6,000 horsepower car and drive with only one hand on the steering wheel.
This is only the second time this season that Dean Scusa has made it to the semifinal round, and for this man, the first time we've seen him here in the Final Four.
You know, Jim Dunn talked about taking horsepower out of this car. He has lane choice right now by 0.02 of a second over Dean Scusa.
Look at this, Gary Scelzi's pit area. There's the new engine going in. He's going to battle Kenny Bernstein in Top Fuel final round action just a little bit later on this evening. Crew knowing exactly what they're doing. It's sliding it right into that motor plate, just as perfect as could be.
Dean Scusa qualified at this race in the number 15 spot, Al in the number 11 spot, yet they're both in the semifinal round.
Great lighting here at Gateway International Raceway, and the drivers absolutely enjoy this racetrack, particularly after the sun goes down. There's the results from round number 2 racing in this funny car category. Crews making their final checks. Jim Dunn on that side, and a thumbs up. Correction, that is the Matco car. That is Don Scusa, Dean's dad. The head man of this team, of course, Lance Larson, the crew chief. John Dunn out directing traffic for Al Hoffman as he rolls in. Want to pick one here?
I think both drivers are going to do a good job. It's going to be up to the crew chiefs.
All right, let's see what happens. Jim Dunn may have had it detuned for the finish line, but the starting line way too much. All the times for Dean Scusa. Hey, John Force and Jerry Tolliver better wake up. A 488. David?
Well, let's check in with Papa Scusa. You got to be pretty proud of that run.
It's getting better, don't it?
It does. What would it mean to win this race?
About everything.
About everything. Simply put, they're going to the finals with a 488. Unbelievable.
Well, we knew the performance was there, and the weather conditions continue to offer it. Shelley? Poor Al just up in smoke at the head of the throttle.
But the car in this lane, that was awesome. They have ran better and better every round so far. A 488, that could win this race.
That's right. That matches, to the 100th at least, the qualifying time of Jerry Tolliver. And as I say, it kind of serves notice on our 2 other semifinalists that, hey, there's a new player on the block and you better pay attention.
It also tells them the track is good.
What's happening there? It's belching flames out of the header pipe.
Well, the clutch is locked up. There's fuel in the pipes. Then you start pulling it, and it lights. It actually fires in the pipe.
All right, as Austin Coyle looks on, we're going to take a quick break and come right back for the titanic battle between John Force and Jerry Tolliver. One more pair remain in the semifinal round of Nitro Funny Car action, and it is the John Force, Jerry Tolliver battle. A week ago, John Force was playing with a brand new body. That Ford Mustang creation, the very latest in aerodynamic tricks.
No doubt John Force is the horse of the funny car class, but he's just won his 86th national event. So what do? Well, if you're the Castrol team, you're Ford Racing, you're Roush Racing, and aerodynamicist Tim Gibson, take a pretty good Ford Mustang and make it just a little bit better. How so? Well, you make it more stock appearing, as you can see in the grille and the headlamp area. You also make this car a lot wider, change the angle of attack to give it a lot more downforce. You want some more stock appearing things? Check out the arch on the wheel well. And of course, the indentations in the door, that matches the 2000 Mustang, as does the arch on the rear wheel well as well. But the thing I like best about this car, you move to the back, take a look at the placement of the parachutes. They are wider, allowing for better airflow through the middle. Talking about airflow, take a look here at the taillight doors. Normally they're square, now they're rectangle. But before anybody starts complaining, let me tell you, it's all within the legal limits.
Shelley, we're not seeing that car this weekend.
We didn't see it last weekend in eliminations. Force stumbled, only qualified 15th with it, put this body back on for first round, got beat by Jerry Tolliver.
You bet. Jerry Tolliver and his crew chief Dale Armstrong pulled the psychological winning move when they decided to be the very first pair out in round number 1. Look, there's the partner of Tolliver. That's Jim Epler. He's already out of competition, rooting on the boss man. Jerry Tolliver, you're riding with him.
Jerry Tolliver hasn't been driving well so far this race, but he knows Force is in the other lane. It's gotten dark. The tree's easier to see. Should have a lot better reaction time.
Austin Coyle, John Stewart, that is Dale Armstrong, the crew chief of that WWF team. Who can stand and deliver? We'll know in just about 3 or 4 seconds. A payback, 496. Jerry Tolliver puts away John Force and extends his Winston points lead. Force was trying to close on him, but Jerry Tolliver moved away by 20 as Force went up in smoke.
Last weekend, Force was not worried. He's got to be worried now.
Down at the far end of the racetrack, here's Bill Stevens.
Dean Scusa. 488. Where was that hiding?
We're sandbagging. I told you that, man. We're just trying to take out all the higher points cars so we qualify real low. No, I'll tell you what, this Matco Sherwin-Williams Mopar, it's getting faster every run, and that's what it's supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to improve every run, not pull your hair out like we've been all year.
Got something left for the final?
Jeez, I don't know. We'll have to look at it. I mean, Lance is on the conservative side, but you know what? I think he's going to pull them all out for the final. I mean, why not? These fans have been through the rain all day. Let's give them something to cheer about, huh?
Let's load the wagon.
Down to the starting line, here's David.
Well, another guy who may have to pull out all the stops in the finals, Dale Armstrong. That 488 Escusa threaten you at all in the final?
Well, that's what we ran qualifying, but this really was our first run that we've made tonight without looking stupid. So we'll probably have something to build off of now. So it'll be a good final. I'm just glad to get by John. That was a 40-point round, really.
Absolutely. They are the Winston points leader. Moving on to the finals.
You know, we have talked so much about reaction time. Let me tell you about this run right here. Force was 100th of a second quicker than Jerry Tolliver, but both had great times.
Force pedaled it. He pedaled it again. He pedaled it again. The car never regained traction. Had to shut it off. Jerry Tolliver got the win.
Oh, he did, and he drove away with that 496 at 304, but still not good enough to earn him the choice of lanes. Dean Scusa may be on a roll, huh?
On a roll. You know, I don't think Lance was expecting that 488, but I was expecting more out of Dale Armstrong's car. He's one of the best, but he's in the final, and he still has another chance.
Scusa has made 10 final round appearances prior to this one, and has only won twice. So we'll find out how it comes out in a moment. Here's Bill.
Jerry Tolliver, that was a very big pass. Had you not beaten John Force, he goes back into the points lead.
Hey, you know what? Just go ahead. Let me tell you what. That was a drag race. I don't know what John did. Don't even care. I tell you what, it was pressure on us. We've had a bad day all day. I left like a day late first round. The car fell out second round. But it just goes to show you the depth and the girth of this team. They can go back with 2 bad rounds, come back up against John Force, 9-time world champion, and beat him. That's the World Wrestling Federation statement. Right there.
And you heard it right here over most of these stations.
Well, Jerry Tolliver. You think he's a little hyped right now, huh? Intense?
He's pumped, he's psyched, and he had a great reaction time.
And he gets to go against Dean Scusa. That'll be the final of funny car competition. And already back in the Scusa pit area, there's Dad Don kind of directing all the traffic around that chassis and engine. They'll be ready. Hope you will be too. We are back in the pit area of Dean Scusa. Again, the work here, just like it's going on in 3 other Nitro pit areas, as we head to the final round of the Top Fuel and Funny Car. And we've got some really good races coming your way just a little bit later on. On the starting line right now, we got some really good racing as well. This is Pro Stock, the gasoline-burning, carbureted 500 cubic inch late model cars out of the American factory. It is a pair of Pontiacs. Greg Anderson driving the Summit car out of the Mark Powig team. His opponent, his former boss, Warren Johnson, the GM Goodwrench Service Plus Pontiac.
Warren Johnson has lane choice coming into this run by 0.03 of a second over Greg Anderson. Greg Anderson qualified number 11, Warren Johnson number 7, but you know something? Warren stepped up every round. Greg Anderson had a huge hole shot second round win over Tom Martino.
At one point in the season, Warren Johnson was in the thick of the race to 86 wins to take over the most ever national event wins, now held, of course, by John Force. He picked it up a couple of races ago.
I'm going to be interested in watching what Greg Anderson's reaction time is, because the last round, he had a .400, absolute perfect, 1,000-second quicker he would a red light. They have a little saying, sometimes you get a little, you know, tight when you're that close, and you might be late.
Do you think anybody's going to play the burn-down procedure? In other words, pre-stage and just be very reluctant or very slow to stage?
Warren does not like to stage first.
All right, as you saw it, and Shelley just told you, a .400 reaction time, absolutely perfect by Greg Anderson. Driving the Mark Powig Summit Racing Pontiac, goes to the final round for the second time in his career. He has yet to win one, but if he keeps driving this way and running as well as he did, 702 at 196, boy, you saw Warren Johnson skate all over the place right off the starting line.
The last run, Warren Johnson skated around. Now he did a little more and had to shut it off.
John Force chatting with his PR man, David Dinsmore. Probably not the happiest camp you could find right now, but he's still earning points up until the time he just got beat by Tolliver. He is in the thick of things for a record-tying 10th Winston title.
He was talking to his PR man, Dave Dinsmore, probably thinking about what they're going to tell the media.
Hey, got beat. Smoked the tire. I can be forthright. Just like Jerry Tolliver, he said, drove like a fool. But either way, he is in the final round. Here is Ron Krischer. His Eagle 1 car is in the near lane. He has the lane choice. He has been absolutely the class of pro stock racing this weekend. Ricky Smith, his opponent. And for Ricky, it is an opportunity for him to make his 9th final round appearance.
Yeah, but boy, Ron Krischer, what can you say? He's been to 2 final rounds in the last 2 races. He's got to win. He's been driving great. He has low ET of the second round with a 693. He's got 700s over Ricky Smith, and Ricky Smith better have a great light. And honestly, Krischer better be really late for Ricky Smith to beat him.
Well, that is the one thing that Ricky is noted for. That's why on the window of the car it says Tricky Ricky Smith. He will come up and scrap a very quick reaction time on you. Let's see what happens here. Ron Krischer's got it. Mike Elliott and Mike Edwards working on that race car, and they have got him performing to perfection for the 3rd race in a row. He is in the finals.
Performing to perfection and driving to perfection. He had a .424 light. He had 4 teens and 4 20s in Columbus last weekend until the final. He was late. Good driving job.
Well, that's it for the finals in Pro Stock. Greg Anderson trying for his first ever win. Ron Krischer trying to pick up win number 2. Here's the WWF pit area as they prepare Jerry Tolliver's machine. He'll be coming back in just a bit. His opponent will be Dean Scusa in the finals of Funny Car. Don't go away. Welcome back to Gateway International Raceway at Madison, Illinois. This is the 4th annual Sears Craftsman Nationals. Good crowd on hand considering the giant thunderstorm that hit earlier today. Just a few moments ago, we saw the semifinal round action in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Matt Hines was in the near lane, and on the far side was Gino Scali. Hines won it at a 7.27 second elapsed time. Here's the lady that's had the hot hand in pro bike.
Boy, but she's got her work cut out for her. She won in the semifinals, but she only ran a 7:31. Matt Hines has lane choice by 0.04 of a second, 4 miles an hour, and a quicker reaction time.
The victim there was Tony Mullen, as Angel Sealing goes to the final round to race nemesis Matt Hines. Angel coming off that big win just a week ago in Columbus. And as well as the Pro Stock Motorcycles, we got a chance to ride on board with John Coughlin in Pro Stock Truck action.
John Coughlin beat Brian Self. John Coughlin ran a 7.59 second run, 176 miles an hour, and he's in the final round.
358 cubic inch small block power plants. Here's the guy that got the break of a lifetime in the race for the Winston Championship. Bob Pinella was in the near lane against Mark Wisden. Why did he get the break? Randy Daniels went out the round before. Those two have been battling it out. Now it is Pinella up against John Coughlin. A pair of Chevy S10s into the finals of the Pro Stock Truck category. Well, we have had some exciting, great side-by-side action thus far this weekend, Shelley. And I must say, we certainly are anticipating our final round.
I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to Scusa. He qualified number 15. He's in the final round. He's got lane choice by 0.08 of a second over Jerry Tolliver. What more could you want?
And for Dean Scusa, this will mark his 11th final round appearance. Hey, how about Kenny Bernstein? He is looking good. He's won a race already this year, but here he is, and I mean, he is in serious contention up against Gary Scelzi.
Yes, he is. He's number 4 in the points. He could pass Larry Dixon real soon. He's number 3.
Oh, and if there is a Cinderella story, it has to be Greg Anderson in the Summit Racing Pontiac out of the Powick team.
Definitely. Greg Anderson. Powick won last weekend. Greg Anderson's in the final this weekend. He's DNQ'd at the last 2 races.
And, of course, the conditions continue to improve as the temperature drops. The racetrack holds its traction. A little bit better air, and maybe everybody's going to run just a little bit better. Right now, let's check in the action in the pit area. Here's David Reed.
Well, Mac, as Gary Scelzi gets set for his 5th final round of the year, you can see a myriad of activity going on behind me. Routine maintenance, but maybe not as routine as you think. Instead of just servicing this car, tearing it down to the block and building it back up, they put a whole new motor in, and it just doesn't use the pit area. It also uses the Team Winston hauler. Inside of here, you can see a bench that's got the next set of cylinder heads with the headers bolted on, ready to go. Or area for the supercharger to get worked on. Alan Johnson only uses them 3 times. Superstitious? Heck no, just a proven thing. If you come all the way to the front, you can find Alan Johnson, the chief, making his next move in this chess game called Top Fuel. You've got Kenny Bernstein in the check position. Now what are you going to do to checkmate him?
We're just going to step this thing up. We're tired of fooling around with it. We've had it soft all weekend, and we're going to stand on it now.
Does that mean you're going to go for a 450 something?
Yeah, we're going for 450.
We'll have to see what happens in that final. Incidentally, this is the 5th final round appearance, as I mentioned, for Gary Scelzi. He is perfect this year, Bill.
Kenny Bernstein's Bud King team, probably a bunch of the hardest working guys in all of motorsports, but somebody maybe that you don't get to see very much is Kenny's longtime sweetheart, Cheryl Johnson. And you're as hard working as anybody on this team, aren't you?
Well, I appreciate that. We all do our part. We have a big piece of pie here, and we're all just each a piece of the pie. So it takes all of us pulling together to get the job done. But this Bud King team, they have worked so hard today. They worked hard all year to get this done, and I can't tell you how much this would mean to us to win in our hometown of Budweiser here. This is incredible.
You've got a flock of people here. How does Kenny drive this race car, do all of his appearances, say hello to all these fans here, and keep his wits about him?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not in his position. I could do everything except for get in that car and drive it, and I don't know how he's so focused to get in there and do that after he does all of this. So I'm glad that's his job and not mine.
Well, Kenny Bernstein is sometimes called the hardest working guy in motorsports, but Cheryl Johnson right beside him, step for step. Dave Reed?
Don't believe Dean Scusa for 1 minute. They are not pulling their hair out here. In fact, I talked to Lance Larson. This is the exact same small block, the exact same blower that this car has had on it since it rolled off the trailer. The only thing they've changed are the heads and eliminations. Other words to describe Dean Scusa: colorful, quick-wit, and, of course, a rock and roller. You remember the late 80s, early 90s rock band Slaughter? Well, the boys are in the house. to rock Dean Scuzon to the final round win. Hey, remember their song, Up All Night, Sleep All Day? We're trying to duplicate that here, aren't we?
I'll tell you what, it's kind of fitting here, man. I don't care. You know, I don't get my poop together till about midnight anyway, so this is right at home for me.
I also remember you saying something in the semifinals about you guys pulling your hair out.
Yeah.
No, you've got hair up there.
That's why I wear a hat, baby.
If he gets his win, it will be his second one of his career. Bill?
Well, Dave, I'm over here in the Jerry Tolliver pit, and the crew is working very hard to get this car ready for its 6th final round of the year 2000. I just talked to crew chief Dale Armstrong. He said pretty routine maintenance, although it doesn't look that way right now. They are really thrashing. In fact, the Jim Epler crew, including crew chief John Stewart's over here, helping get this car prepared. Last week in Columbus, Jerry Tolliver missed a golden opportunity to pad his points lead over John Force when Jerry lost to Tony Pedregon in the final round. They do not want this to happen this weekend. They are not getting cocky. They know Dean Scusa has not won a race this year, but they're not going to leave anything on the table. Mac?
There's Kenny Bernstein warming up the Budweiser King. What does that mean? We are just moments away from the final rounds in all of our pro categories. We want you to stay with us because we're coming right back here under the light to Gateway International Raceway for the final rounds to determine who will be the champions at the Sears Craftsman National. It's finals time here at Gateway International Raceway, and just a few moments ago, the final round of our Pro Stock Truck category unfolded. It was Bob Padella Jr. in the lane nearest the camera, John Kaufman on the far side, and the Jenks pickup got a big head start.
Huge hole shot win. He runs a 7:61. It beats a 7:54 by Bob Pinella. 2 races in a row he's been beat in the final by reaction time.
Bob Pinella losing to the hole shot. Here's the finals in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Matt Hines nearest the camera. He has the lane choice. Angel Sealing on the far side. Angel a week ago was the dominant motorcycle, and she's run very well here. Losing lane choice in the semifinal round race.
Both drivers had great reaction times, but Matt Hines had 200s out of the box. Will it be enough? Yes, he gets the win. A 7:29 to Angel Sealing, 7:39. He gets a big victory.
Angel slowed as she approached the finish line. Probably something mechanically went wrong in the motorcycle, but Matt Hines is the winner. Pro Stock cars coming up when we return to Gateway International Raceway. And this, the Sears Craftsman National. This has been a race where you could root for the underdog, and you got one here in the final round of Pro Stock. Greg Anderson going off against Ron Krischer. Neither one necessarily household names in the pantheon of Pro Stock racing. Krischer, of course, the hot hand lately.
Krischer has been in the last 2 races. He's been in the final round. He's got a win, a runner-up. He got beat last weekend in reaction time in the final round by Mark Cowick. That was Greg Anderson's teammate.
How about Greg Anderson? This is only his 2nd final round appearance. And, of course, that man right there, Ron Krischer's only got 1 more. Here is the Pro Stock lane comparison. The near lane, which has been the lane of choice for the quicker cars, has far exceeded the number of wins over on the far side. 11-3 the count.
Greg Anderson's been doing a great job this weekend. He qualified in the 11th spot. He's in the final round for the first time this year. It's a great story, and it'd be even better if he could win.
Earlier in eliminations, Greg Anderson rips off a .400 second reaction time. That is absolutely perfect. Everybody says, oh, to get a reaction time that good, you had to guess at the tree. But these Pro Stock cars, the way they're set up, when they dump the clutch, it happens so instantaneously that Greg Anderson's wife looking on intently with David Reeve as the Summit Racing crew staging that Pontiac. These cars can launch that quick.
They really can, and Ron Krischer's been driving great. He's had great reaction times. He had a .424 in the last round.
The previous round in the semis, Krischer went 6.91 seconds elapsed time to the 7:02 by Greg Anderson. This time it was Ron Krischer went perfect on the tree. .400 reaction time, 26 thousandths of a second ahead of Greg Anderson. The winning time, 6.90. The losing time, 6.98. A classic pro stock battle. Watch again.
That was low ET in the near lane of the whole race, including qualifying, a 6.90 second run, and 2 perfect reaction times in eliminations this weekend, one by each of these 2 cars. I can't remember the last time perfect reaction time, 2 runs out of all the rounds.
And of course, Krischer saving the best for last. What better spot to have a perfect reaction time than in the final round, plus running a new track record elapsed time of 6.90. Snatched it away from Kurt Johnson.
Well, it's gotten cool and it's late, so the track's gotten better.
Let's go to Bill Stevens.
Ron Krischer in the Eagle One Pontiac Firebird, still unbuttoning the automobile and climbing out, and that was just about a clinic on how to win a pro stock race, Ron. A perfect light, low ET of the weekend, and the trophy from Mike Regan.
Thank you. It was a great day. All the guys were together. They did it all again. They make my job easy.
Did you know that you could cut a light that good?
I was a little worried about cutting it too good. We were really on it. We weren't fired up the first part of the race. Couldn't get in the zone, but I was in the zone after that.
Nothing to worry about now.
How about that? In 3 final round appearances, Ron Krischer has 2 big wins. Look at him go. We'll be right back. There are a lot of implications in this race. The man in the green car, the Keen Machine out of WWF, Jerry Tolliver, trying to extend his Winston points lead. If he wins this, he picks up an additional 20 points over John Force. But hey, here's the guy that just set low elapsed time of eliminations at 4.88 seconds in the semis, Dean Scusa.
Number 15 qualifier is in the final round, and he has lane choice by 0.08 of a second over Jerry Tolliver. He's got to be the favorite, but don't count out Dale Armstrong.
No, Armstrong, the crew chief on the Tolliver car, has not been his normal joyful self this week. It has been a difficult day of eliminations for Tolliver. First round, he had that terrible reaction time. Second round, as we ride on board during the burnout, Tolliver's car had problems. They finally got down the track in moderately good style in the semis.
Armstrong is very honest, crew chief. He doesn't take the gimmies. He always works for it, and right now, it seems like he's doing his job again.
Look at your lane choice comparison. 7 and 7, as equal as can be. And we've kind of thought that all day long, even though the near lane in some cases has had the advantage, but that's because the quicker cars have opted to run on that side of the track.
You know, some of the quick cars have picked the opposite lane. Gary Scelzi was one of them. He liked the far lane. Right now, Dean Scusa likes the near lane. Jerry Tolliver's in the other, but I think they're very even.
I do too, and for Dean Scusa, it's his 11th final round appearance in his career. He's only won 2 races. Of course, Tolliver has had a remarkable strength. Way back in 1998, just a couple of years ago, he finished 18th in the Winston point standing. Right now, he is number 1 and adding to his points with every round win.
He's got 2 wins this season, 3 runner-ups. He's in the final round again. That's great. We've only been to 10 races, and this is his 6th final round appearance.
Look at Dale Armstrong, his crew chief, and the whole WWF team gathered there watching. There's Don Scusa, that's Dean's dad. He's just as intent on seeing his son, the winner. Watch the reaction timer. Wow! I mean, almost defying words. Both of them went up in smoke, and that really surprises me. And Jerry Tolliver was able to hold it in his lane and keep the win. David Reef.
Well, let's step in and talk to Dale Armstrong. I don't think this is probably how you pictured this day ending. It wasn't pretty, but you got the job done.
we got to be the luckiest people on the premises. I mean, it's just been going our way tonight, so we'll take it.
What happened on that run?
I don't know. We really didn't change nothing except we squeezed the head gaskets a little bit thinner to give us some power, and maybe it gave us a little bit more than I expected. I mean, I'm surprised that it got him loose out there.
It ain't always beautiful, but it's a win.
Oh, that was a thrill show and a half as they push off Jerry Tolliver at the far end of the racetrack. Watch this.
Well, you see him in the far lane. The car in the near lane, Scusa goes up in smoke. He pedals it. Jerry's pedaled it twice. Dean keeps pedaling. He sees Jerry's got trouble, and then Dean goes over the center line, abort the run because he's disqualified unless Jerry Tolliver would have hit the wall. So right there, Jerry Tolliver gets the win. Ugly, but he gets the win, and his points leads that much further on John Force.
Oh, I don't know that I call it ugly. This is a lot of fun to watch. Look at him try to control those monsters. Let's go to Bill.
Jerry Tolliver wins his 4th race of the year, and I don't think they could get any uglier than that.
That's the 3rd race of the year, buddy. But, no, they don't. Hey, listen, how do you win an ugly race? You don't win an ugly race. They're all beautiful when you win. But I had an ugly day. Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't my stellar driving job. But it's been a while since I won one of these. And I'll tell you what, they mean a lot. You know, one of these guys out here, this is a bunch of tough guys out there. There ain't a weak car in that group. Anybody can win on any given day. Hats off to the World Wrestling Federation and the Rock Funny Car.
We knew he'd have an awful lot to say as he gets his trophy from Mike Regan, from Sears Craftsman, and, of course, Miss Winston, Jackie Beck.
I got to tell you, Deanskis has got to be terribly disappointed, but it was quite a show for the final. I don't know anybody expected that one to happen. We've got one more race to go. It is Top Fuel. There's the celebration from the WWF team. Coverage of the 2000 NHRA Winston Championship is being brought to you by Armor All Protectant and Armor All Car Wax. It's not just shine, it's Armor All. And by David Sunflower Seeds. Break out of your shell. After the final round excitement in Funny Car kind of leaves you wondering what's going to happen in Top Fuel.
I never expected both those cars to smoke the tires. Now I think these two got to be worrying about it. This is on board with Kenny Bernstein. He doesn't have lane choice. Gary Scelzi does by 0.02 of a second. Kenny Bernstein out-qualified Gary Scelzi, number 3 and number 4 qualifier.
That's Cheryl Johnson, Kenny's girlfriend, looking on. She doesn't appear to be real happy. My question is, wonder what Alan Johnson's thinking. Remember earlier he told us that he was going to try for a 450 elapsed time after all that tire smoke. Ooh, maybe he's got a change of heart there.
I'll tell you, I wonder if he isn't regretting that. He said he was going 450. I don't know if this track will take it. We'll see.
I think those guys were trying to run in the 3s in the Funny Cars. Gary Scelzi, who has the lane choices, opted for the lane nearest the camera. This is the final of Top Fuel here at the Sears Craftsman Nationals. Oh, can you believe it? 2 races in a row, both of them up in smoke. No 450s there, but that big W light came on for Gary Scelzi. David.
Well, Max, somewhere down here in the middle of this is Alan Johnson. You can imagine there's a lot of happy drivers down here. No 50s, but I'll tell you what, your driver saved your buns there.
Well, you know, we got that saying over there, it's no low ET or no ET, and I guess it was just a little more aggressive than we thought it would, or maybe the track wasn't quite as good, but hey, worked out all right.
Absolutely. Gary Scelzi backs up Alan Johnson in the final.
Must admit, a very surprising end to some really good nitro racing. Just goes to show you whether you got 90%, 100%, or 10%. You can make more than enough power to smoke the tires.
Watch this. Kenny first went up and smoke in the far lane, kept his foot in it, then pedaled it again. Gary's hooked up sooner than Kenny Bernstein's, and that's the reason he got the win, because they both did a great driving job.
Sure did. A few sparks coming out of the Team Winston machine, but hey, at this point, they'll sacrifice a valve or a head gasket or whatever's necessary because they got the lead. Down at the far end, let's go down to the winner with Bill Stevens.
Gary Scelzi, first half of the season is over, and you may be on your way to another championship.
Well, it's awful early for that, but I'm going to tell you, Team Winston, Matco Tools, and our new associate sponsor, DDR, it's their first race, and first time they've been to an NHRA Winston drag race, and I am just thrilled to death. Like I said earlier, I lost my uncle this morning, Jim Chiori, my Auntie Frances, my cousin Mara, my mom and dad, all my aunts and uncles. You know, I'm sorry, but we won this one, and Uncle Jimmy, this one's for you.
Back to you, Mac.
Well, Bill, it has been a remarkable race indeed. For Shelley Anderson, Bill Stevens, David Reeve, I'm Dave McClelland, offering our congratulations to every one of our winners here at the Sears Craftsman Nationals. Be sure to join us in a couple of weeks. We're going to be at Bristol.